And I want to welcome Isaac Slade and Joe King from the Fray. Thank you for your performance.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You have your third studio album coming up. It's called Scars and Stories. And you have a very interesting story, and I'm sure also some scars. While most parents kind of push their kids to find a job after college, you had a very supportive family situation. Which included a $45,000 loan from your grandfather who supported you all the way through. Tell me about that.
My family's really musical and really artistic and sort of crazy at the same time, so it's all sort of this beautiful,
aren't we all?
Gypsy, traveling band that I grew up in. My parents took us down to Guatemala when we were little kids for
They were missionaries?
Some church work, yeah.
Okay.
And we'd go down back and forth from Denver to Mexico probably every 6 months on trips, working with orphanages or giving food to the homeless or something. So yeah, it was part of our culture, you know. I was the one worried about, you know, like a backup plan.
Right.
My parents sat me down and they said, like, you're good at this music thing. You should give it a shot.
And you were working at Nordstrom's at one point.
I applied to Nordstrom's. I was like 15 minutes late to the interview, which at Nordstrom's, you don't get the job. And I didn't get the job. So I was working at Starbucks.
Okay.
And I kept that job, and my parents, my dad and my grandfather both gave me pretty sizable loans that took me years to pay off, but finally paid it off. But yeah, they all sort of encouraged me to, like, do this, try it out. Worst case scenario, you can always live in the basement till you're 35.
But what's fascinating about it, and we talked a little bit before the interview, about this idea of playing an instrument young, playing in church.
Yeah.
Tell me, did you do that?
Yeah, I think, you know, music became kind of my escape early on. Like, you know, we live in my family had a really small house, seven of us in the house, and we'd always have people staying with us. And the only thing that I could go to kind of get away from the noise and people was the little record player that my parents had in the corner. So as a kid, I would always just kind of disappear to that corner and put my headphones on and kind of zone out. And so it became kind of the place that I just, first off, was just wanted to disappear from everything. And then it slowly just kind of became something that I wanted to play and to express myself in. And then, you know, as a kid, you then look for others that you can connect with on that level. So I started playing with friends and just learning some of my favorite songs and from my favorite bands, and then it just kind of grew into, hey man, let's start a band, be the biggest band in the world.
You know, I have this saying which Wendy used in the intro to this piece. How long did it take you to become an overnight success? So your big mainstream smash was when you were able to get the song How to Save a Life on Grey's Anatomy. When you crossed over, you had some success before then, but would you say that was the critical time where you crossed over into the mainstream in a major way?
It's sort of up for debate in the history books of our band, because we'd already sold 1 million records. We'd gone platinum before the Grey's Anatomy thing happened, but it essentially was like the afterburners.
Right.
And it doubled everything. So our shows went from 7,000 or 8,000 kids to 20,000 kids. Our records went from 1 million to I think 3 or something, and it certainly had a lot to do with it. It's funny though, because it was, in our mind, it was just like every step.
Well, you were living it.
Yeah, exactly.
You built that momentum. And, you know, exactly. Maybe there's a sort of bittersweetness when you think back and you think, well, hey, man, we were in the game a long time before then, and then all of these people come in and they just discover us. But maybe not.
Yeah, I don't feel exactly like it's a negative thing. Some people, might feel like it's, you didn't earn it yourself or whatever.
Wow.
But essentially what we took it as was, this is a new media, new form, new model, and we just want people to hear the songs,
Yeah.
And if they were going to change the song or something, then it would be weird. We've said no to some things, like we've said no to some key soap operas.
Yeah.
Because it was just a weird affiliation. But to me, it's like models, labels, everything aside, like songs, fan, like let's just get it to them. You know?
Well, hey, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, you know, there's just no right or wrong way to do it nowadays, and there's no formula anymore. It used to be, you know, your band had to get signed to a label, or as an artist you have to get signed, and then that label controls everything. And it's what I love about now is that I feel like artists are in the place that we're kind of in the driver's seat a bit. Like if we want our music on a format, or if we want to put something out right away, we can. You know,
Right.
There isn't that kind of power thing over you, I don't think, as much anymore.
Well, I think more than ever, you, more than anyone or a lot of groups, you guys are insulated somewhat from the pressure that file sharing has presented the music industry with. And what I mean by that is when you look at file sharing, it's cut into the revenue of selling music. But you have touring, you have you're one of the most licensed bands in music today, so you have other revenue streams. Does that take a little bit of the pressure off of you?
I mean, I think we're just lucky to be doing it, period. Like, if we can make enough to support our families and we're playing music for a living, it's unbelievably amazing to do that.
Human dynamics are a part of bands. It's one of the things that is just unavoidable. You look at the Beatles, you look at some of the legendary groups, they've not always got along. You guys have had some infighting in the group. Joe, there was a point in 2007 where you told a newspaper that you weren't happy. You said, when things started off, we were doing interviews, and I'd hear Slade say, "I" a lot. That would kill me.
That's the truth.
Did you work that out?
Should we have a session?
Should we talk about it? Yeah, I mean, it's. I think we had to go through that. Like, it would be. I would think it would be unnatural not to go through something like that. When you work that closely together and you care that much about what you're doing, and it wasn't just him; it was me. Equally as in the wrong, because, you know, I had my issues with things, and but. I mean, like, what would it be? You know what I mean? Like, what would anything be without friction?
We're looking for great success from the Fray with your album, Scars and Stories, and we appreciate your coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Isaac
Appreciate it.
and Joe.
Appreciate it.
Keep us posted, okay?
All right, cool.
All right.